630.
WMAL.
All right, welcome back to the Big Show. My name is Derek Hunter. I'm in the studio, as always, with Brian Darling and Mary Catherine Ham. I just can't shake them. They're always right here. And joining us on the studio hotline right now is the proprietor of BigGovernment.com, as well as BigJournalism.com, BigPeace.com, BigHollywood.com, pretty much every non-porn site out there that starts with big. And maybe some of those, too. Who knows? I mean, his web empire is simply too big to keep track of. That he may not even know. And I'm speaking, of course, of Media Matters' best friend, Andrew Breitbart. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Well, thanks a lot. I have a website. I was wondering, do you think that my conservative audience would appreciate a little deviation from the politics? I came up with an idea for a website on my flight to New York last week.
Yeah.
Called CelebritiesWhoFlyCoach.com.
You know, it's not bad. It's all user generated. That'd be perfect. Everybody's got a camera in their pocket nowadays.
I know, I'm telling you, but the thing is, I was in coach coming to New York, and in that compartment, or wherever you call it, in steerage, I found myself sitting next to a guy who said he worked for a gamer magazine. I was like, okay, cool. My kid likes to play, a lot of the mature games, and it's getting a little bit disturbing how addicted he's getting to all this stuff, and I hope he doesn't grow up to be a serial killer, but he certainly likes it. And he said he was in Los Angeles for a music convention. Oh, why? Are you in the industry as well? He says, I'm a lead singer of a rock band. I said, what band? He said, Blue Oyster Cult.
No. Yeah. Do they really qualify as celebrities still, though? It's not like 72 anymore.
No, that makes it good. I don't like real celebrities. I like off celebrities. You know, like, I was in New York once, and I saw Chloe Sevigny after she was in Brown Bunny with Vincent Gallo, and I can't describe what she did to
Vincent. Right, yes, you can't.
They played checkers a lot, I believe.
I was with my wife, and I just said, you can't get a more spectacular star sighting than Chloe Sevigny.
The most important thing is whether the lead singer of Blue Oyster Cult carried on a cowbell.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. If you're the Reaper, cowbell, I think he bought one at this music convention.
Well,
Andrew,
Andrew,
for him to take it on the plane.
Andrew, since you've taken it upon yourself to be the ombudsman to Media Matters, I think we should talk about our friends on the left briefly, whose entire lives are consumed with watching you and me tweet.
And for the record, I did invite Eric Bollard on.
The left. It's a nonprofit. They have no political affiliation.
Of course.
That is according to the tax code. They have no political affiliation. They just care about truth in media.
Yeah, and I saw yesterday, I usually don't pay that much attention, but someone retweeted that they were gauging how many middle-aged white men were discussing Egypt on Fox.
Oh, boy.
That was the endeavor of the day.
That's Eric Bollard. He makes like $120,000 a year to do a cultural head count on Fox. He's a senior fellow in whatever. I think it's just watching TV and complaining about it. Now, I don't think anybody's had more run-ins with Media Matters than you have, Andrew.
He's actually a senior fellow, and his specialty is transcribing Channel 360 on DirecTV.
Now, how did you first become aware of Media Matters, and when did they first start going after you?
Well, they've been going after me for years. How did I discover them? I saw that the Swift boat story really flummoxed the organized left, in that it was out there for months, and every day if you listen to talk radio, the story was being methodically played out, and the left was saying, it's not true, it's not true. I wish that Kerry would go out there and get in front of this thing and start debunking the story. And it kept, building up, and there was no apparatus to try and stop the Swift boat thing, because the truth was on the Swift boat. The 220-so Swift boat guys, they're going to organize, they're going to put their credibility on the line as war heroes to lie about John Kerry. And so when it ended, they realized, wow, the right has now created its own, media realm, the blogosphere, where we now have the capacity to do an end run, or quite frankly, barrel through the wall that's called the mainstream media. And so they organized this to make sure that there would be no more that there would be no more swift boat stories. And so it doesn't matter what the story is. It doesn't matter whether or not a black guy by the name of Kenneth Gladney has the crap kicked out of him by two SEIU guys. The SEIU is paying Media Matters to cover up that story the second that it happens. The coordination between the organized left, the moneyed interest, the SEIUs, the Acorns of the world, they're all working with Media Matters to obfuscate the truth, to intimidate people from telling the truth, to use Alinsky tactics against the journalists, to try and marginalize them. They're like basically delirious, AIDS-ridden mosquitoes.
Well, that's a hell of a visual to paint. Now, how effective do you think they are? I mean, they essentially program MSNBC, but they lost their greatest robot megaphone in Keith Olbermann last week. And but that's it. Nobody watches MSNBC. Are they more effective in print? I mean, they just, anything that rears its head that has a slight conservative tint, they just pounce on it, pounce on it, pounce on it.
I meant, by the way, a clarification for Media Matters. Not AIDS, rickets. They have rickets. It's mosquitoes with rickets.
Yeah, there you go.
That is a correction coming from the editor himself.
Now Eric Bollard has to go and delete a tweet.
Well, and there has to be some point of diminishing returns on this stuff. I mean, I know people who are Democrats but not super liberals, and I even know, I think, liberals who say, like, really, guys? I mean, there has to be a point where
they aren't winning any converts. They're preaching to the choir.
I disagree. I disagree with you, and I don't know if this analogy makes sense. Is never are they able to successfully build up the wall that helps to protect the mainstream media from protecting themselves, the Democrat media complex, I call it, from swift boat type stories to break through. They're creating a wall by creating micro bricks. Every single tweet is a name.
Yeah.
And nobody thinks it's worth defending. But they create so many of those micro bricks. For instance, how many times did they tweet the Breitbart pimp hoax? The Acorn pimp hoax.
They still do.
The Acorn pimp hoax. I think they wrote about it 1 billion times. I think that they tweeted about it 1 billion times. And so next thing I know, I'm at events and people say, the Acorn pimp hoax. I go, what is your argument? That the Acorn story is not valid because James O'Keefe wasn't, while he was working with Acorn and they were helping him establish an underage sex slave operation, you discovered that he wasn't dressed extravagantly like Huggy Bear from Starsky and Hutch, and that somehow takes away from it. They go, yes, it showed your deception. I said, if you look at the first selectively edited video, by the way, selectively edited, that's another micro brick that causes ABC, CBS, and NBC. I can't deal with Breitbart because he selectively edits things. I don't edit anything. I don't even know how to edit.
That's a great point. I mean, this is Brian Darling. The only reason why I mentioned that is because you let me write on the Big Government website. I love that website. I love writing for it. But I look at Media Matters as a left-wing hate group. I mean, they have attacked Eric Erickson. They've attacked yourself. They attacked Rush Limbaugh. They attack Glenn Beck. And they are trying, and they just keep pounding on them, and they're setting up this base where they have all this information that's full of half-truths, full of non-truths, where they're out there. They're going to be on their website forever, and if you go on their website, it's a huge laundry list of talking points to take apart people who are good people, who are out there in the public domain, and they don't use facts for many times. I mean, I've read many of their pieces where they'll take one small snippet out of what somebody says, and they'll take them apart with it, and they'll never back away if they're proven wrong.
Never. I mean, we were able to prove that Eric Bollard, I call him a hate crime fetishist. This is a guy who was there when Kenneth Gladney was beaten at the Russ Carnahan Town Hall, and he lives in New Jersey. He types from New Jersey, and he was there, contemporaneous with the actual attack on this 130-pound guy who's in remission from leukemia, and he also, just to add to his woes, he has diabetes. And two 230-pound SEIU thugs, the day that Jim Messina, the Deputy White House Chief of Staff, said, you need to get into those town hall people's faces. Well, that's what John Sweeney of the AFL-CIO said that day. And Jim Sweeney, whatever the guy's name is, Jim Messina said from the White House, punched them back twice as hard. And so that was the day that the unions, in coordination with the White House, went to the town halls and started beating people up. And one of them was Kenneth Gladney and two guys from the SEIU. One called him the N-word, and a whole group of people witnessed him getting beaten up. Eric Bullard was there that day to try and mock this black victim of what would be described as a hate crime, using Media Matters' definition of a hate crime if it were a Republican beating a Democrat who happened to be black.
Well, they have this ultimate moral relativism.
I'll end it on this. Right. We found out that SEIU was paying Media Matters. They're funding them to cover up their hate crimes. I have word from an inside source that while Eric Bullard was typing, he did not have his pants on.
As long as you only have word and don't have any visual evidence of that, we'll leave it there. But what thing they do is anytime you, like when the shooting in Tucson happened, they hopped on the bandwagon and then they said, oh, well, no. And then you get Francis Fox Piven getting death threats. They were silent on all the death threats, the hundreds and thousands of death threats that Sarah Palin has been getting. And all of a sudden, allegedly Sarah Palin was getting these, you got to be honest. We don't have proof of either, but I believe Sarah Palin a little more. Francis Fox Piven starts getting some death threats. And Eric Bullard tweets out, oh, the right wing is ignoring these death threats. They're both wrong. It's like, no, we're not. We condemn all of these things. It only seems to, they put things into context. Oh, everybody does it is their ultimate, like, reflect position, don't you? I mean, you deal with this. You have a lot of fun with these people, and nobody is more hated on Twitter than you. I think you're awesome on Twitter. But
can I put that on my site? I like that quote.
Nobody is more hated on Twitter than you?
Yeah, then Andrew Breitbart is more effective for marketing.
There you go. Yeah, go ahead, brand it. But it's true. I mean, you retweet all of this hate that you get, and it's death wishes, it's homophobia, it's racist attacks, and these people accuse you of the very things that they are committing, the acts they are committing in these tweets.
No wonder you work at an impressive think tank, because that's exactly why I do it, is to expose that the left is guilty of the very things that they accuse the right of. I get emails from people on the right. I had to stop following you because you retweet these crazy people. I'm like, that's why I created the Huffington Post. Hello. I wanted the people to see how crazed and out of control the organized left is. We have to destroy the organized left in this country. They are dangerous to our society. They want to pit us against each other. They want to split this country apart. They have a revolutionary impulse. It's in their DNA.
Can you please stop holding back and tell us what you really think?
Yeah, you're going to get an ulcer.
Evil.
No, let's talk briefly, because you did. There are a lot of people who are like, you created the Huffington Post, you jerk, it's all your fault. But you and I once talked about this, why you did it, and it had to do with the George Clooney post that they had to retract, and nobody jumping on it. You remember that story?
Oh, yeah, well, George, yeah, oh boy. Yeah, George Clooney, they cobbled together a quote from a series of articles that George Clooney had written about Sudan, and they ended up posting it as George Clooney, as if he was blogging at the site. And then George Clooney said, you need to take that down because I didn't write that blog. But that's not why. I mean, that's an example of the inanity that helped me to create the Huffington Post. But I live on the west side of Los Angeles. When I'm not at Hollywood-type parties or events where, I'm not going to, fancy Hollywood parties, but I live here. I go to events, children's parties. I go to events, cocktail parties, family parties, where all I hear is left-wing craziness, conspiracy theories. There isn't a rational explanation that they can avoid that a conspiracy doesn't fill the void for them. And you go to these cocktail parties and they tell you about Halliburton and they tell you about Cheney being behind 9/11, and these are major household names often. And I thought, how great would it be if Ariana would take that Rolodex of hers and put it online so that talk radio and Fox News and bloggers could use it as original content to marginalize them for the freaks that they are.
But then the conservatives ended up ignoring them when they started.
That bothered me. I thought I had the ultimate inside job. And then when it started, they said, just ignore Ariana. Don't give her any light. I'm like, okay, well, at your peril, because they are showing you and the American people exactly what they think, and they're there to pat each other on the back. They look at the comments section and they think that their conspiracy has been confirmed because 1,000 people underneath it say, "Yep, it is Cheney. He's responsible."
Well, anything that they accuse Cheney of, there's a 50-50 shot he really did. All right, we're going to take a break right here, Andrew, and you're going to come back and we're going to talk about another giant left-wing scam, organized left, the Pigford scandal. So don't go away. We'll be right back with more of The Big Show on WMAL.